It's now time for On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson. The conversation will range from local dialogue to international. This show is meant to enlighten, inform, and to inspire. On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson begins now.
Hello and welcome to On the Line. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. So glad you could join me on a Sunday morning. Look, I know you have other options out there, so that's why I always thank you, because I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. I realize there are other things you can do. So thank you in advance for that. You know, as I go about my travels, I do meet the most interesting people, because this is what I've learned. Everybody has a story. Do not discount people. Do not look past people. Do not say, oh, he's too old, or she's too young, or they can't speak English, or they don't dress right. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story is interesting. And I dare to say we pretty much can learn from everybody's story. So that is what we're going to do today. A few days ago, I went to Norfolk State, and we were at the president's house. She was kind enough to invite me. And music mogul and humanitarian, maybe that's a better word, Pharrell was there. So we went to meet Pharrell and see what he's doing in the wonderful city of Norfolk. But on the way in the door, we being some people from Norfolk State, from the radio station, met a young man, Adrian Jr. Welcome to On the Line.
A pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
He is a chief executive officer, and Maynard, who is our general manager here at the radio station, Maynard just started talking to him, and he's like, Cheryl, oh, you need to have him on the line. So you're on the line this morning, right? That's exactly how it happened, though, right?
Yeah, I assume so. Awesome.
Yeah, we were out in the parking lot. So let's get your background before we tell people what you are doing. Let's get your background. Where are you from?
So I was born in Virginia Beach. I've been everywhere, though. I think I've moved at least over 30 times. So
really? Military life?
No, actually, my parents went to school. My dad was in medical school, and my mom was getting her master's, like MBA. And I remember, you know, I was here early, and my sister's 4 years younger than me. So we moved to Illinois, I want to say when I was about 4 years old, 3.5, 4 years old. And she was born there. And then we moved back to Virginia.
Okay.
And then we moved to Rochester Hills, Michigan. Stayed there. I think I was there from, like 7th grade through 9th grade in high school. And then I moved back to Virginia again. And hopefully I'm staying here this time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little about your parents. What was mom educated in? What did you see your parents doing when you were growing up?
So yeah, interesting. Well, my parents have a really strong work ethic. I think that also was instilled in me and my sister. And you know, they have really strong connections as well. So they're people persons. And you know, really just being able to see them, you know, start from the bottom and work their way to the top, I think that was inspiring. And I think that also was instilled in me and my sister as well. So like, I want to say, like, my mom, like, what stood out to me about her is that she's probably the nicest person that I know.
That's very cool. That's
Right.
a nice thing to say about your mom.
Yeah, for sure. Like, everybody says that about her. And my dad, he's like probably one of the hardest workers that I know, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw it when like back when he used to actually study for medical school, and he used to take me to the like, he worked at Virginia Tech. That's where he was studying. And he used to take me to VCOM and study with his buddies. And I saw, like, all of his buddies, they all graduated together. So that was, like, just a testament in itself. So. And
what about, I know you told me about a grandmother.
Oh, yeah. So I have two grandmothers. My dad's grandmother, her name is Christine. She is also really sweet. And, you know, she always calls me her boy. And, yeah, like, I remember she bought me my first scooter, I think when I was like 4 or something like that.
Never forget it.
Right. And then my mom's mom, her name is Linda, and she bought me my first bike before I could even walk.
Why do you all remember that? I have a nephew, and I bought him a skateboard.
Oh, awesome.
He's almost 40 now. He still talks about me buying that skateboard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We remember
so this
those
means
things.
a lot to you all.
Yeah, we tend to remember those things. My grandma, I said aunt. My grandma Linda, she bought me a bike before I could even walk. So we always still laugh about that to this day.
That's wonderful that you have both grandmothers still living. That is a blessing in itself. So tell us about yourself. What are you doing? Where did you go to school? Tell us about what you've got going on. It's a very interesting story.
Sure. So, I guess first and foremost, I grew up with ADHD. I was diagnosed with that when I was like young, really young, maybe like 3 or 4. And growing up, it was kind of hard for me to be in certain environments. I had a lot of energy, and I couldn't pay attention a lot either. So I remember I was in a karate class. This was a long time ago, but I think I was 4 at this time. And like I was just really excited about karate, but I was just moving around all the time, so they ended up kicking me out of the class. And
that makes me so angry.
Yeah, stuff like that happened to me all the time.
That's not what you do. You're not supposed. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's not what you do, though.
Yeah, stuff like that happened. I remember even like elementary school, preschool, I had to go from school to school because either the teachers didn't really know how to teach me, or I was just too hyper. And
boys are that way in general, especially around those ages. Girls they're going to sit down and be quiet 8 hours at a time. How unrealistic is that? Boys are not going to do that, but that's not abnormal.
Right. Yeah. And I so like at first, and I believe this was first to second grade, I remember I was trying to read, and we were in class. This was back when teachers used to have like a little group session. All the kids read a certain chapter, and then you have to tell them what you read. And
I'm a reporter at a young age.
Well, I was trying to be, but I couldn't remember what I was reading though. So when she asked me to tell her what I learned about the chapter I just read, I was like, I can't remember. And then that's when she was like, well, yeah, like I remember she was telling my counselor at the time, she was like, yeah, AJ reads pretty slow. I want you to try to work with him in the morning. So I tried to do that in the morning. Just never got like a grasp, like a kind of a handle on how to like retain the information. So it was kind of demoralizing at the time. And that kind of did a 180 like later on when I went back in and kind of looked at it from a different lens. But I can get into that later. But yeah, I was a high school, middle school athlete as well. I played basketball. My first sport was definitely basketball. I played soccer, ran track, played football, and yeah, I think that's everything if I remember, if memory serves. So I remember my dad had me in upward basketball.
Okay.
Yep, and that's a basketball that like you're integrated into kind of like a spiritual. You're praying before every game. You make sure that you pray with your teammates, all that kind of stuff. So it really created like a sense of like friendship, like how strong a bond is between teammates. So I remember that vividly. Up until I want to say 7th grade, I was always the best player on my team. And then when it got to the point where I was the second best player, I was like, oh man, like now
I don't want to do that.
That's what kind of drove the competitive spirit within me. And like I just feel like that in itself kind of made me into like who I am. Like I'm extremely competitive. I like learning. Those are like my those what kind of make me happy all the time. So
that competitive nature, where's that gotten you today?
Oh yeah. So the competitive nature, like the way that my friends describe it, they would say that I can start with my therapist first. So the way that she described it is she said that I'm well equipped to be able to handle any kind of pressure that comes my way. So I usually operate the best under pressure. And I think I operate the best. Well, she believes I operate the best under pressure because I've dealt with pressure since childhood. So it's like built up resilience from when I was 4 to now. I believe that about
Black people in general. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh yeah. So and I'm really good at problem solving. I've always been good at problem solving, but I didn't know that until I started solving problems for other people. So that's how I kind of came when I came to Norfolk State when I graduated from college. I mean, not college, but high school. My mom was like, "Yeah, I think you should major in maybe like business and marketing." And I was like, I don't know or whatever. And really, who inspired me to get into college was my sister, because she's like the prodigy child. I'm the innovator. She's the prodigy child. And she was like, yeah, AJ, I think you should do it. I think you should go for it. I was like, okay. And obviously, the first year I'm screwing around. It's college.
College, yeah.
Yeah, I'm screwing around. And the second year I get my
But
butt
your parents
in there.
didn't freak out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So and that's the thing, though. So I was screwing around, and I was still getting like pretty decent grades compared to my contemporaries. And so that's when my advisor, who I'm still like, I have a really strong relationship with, Miss Brooks. She told me, she was like, look, AJ, like you're doing all these things that you're not supposed to be doing. You're still getting like pretty good, decent grades. And she was like, imagine what you could do if you focused on what you're supposed to do.
Down. Yeah.
Exactly. So got to doing that, and was able to turn everything around. And I have a really strong friend group as well. I have the same friend group that I had since I moved into college the first day. So I know we're gonna be friends for life.
That's it, and you will be. I'm a testimony. Yeah, that's exactly what happened in my life.
Okay, cool,
Yep.
cool. So like I think the most important thing was like being able to understand that, one, I'm blessed because I didn't have to change my major when I was going through college, and I've seen so many people do that. And I was like, wow, this is really the space that I want to be in. So that's what kind of led to entrepreneurship. So as I aforementioned before, I'm really good at problem solving and just hands-on experience. So I learned like with kinesthetics, and that's basically what business is and entrepreneurship is, being able to solve problems and being able to gain the experience to do so. So that's when I kind of got an affinity for business. The first business I started was definitely a failure. It was a clothing brand. And this is when I first figured out profit margins.
Okay.
So,
But how can you say it's a failure when you figured it out?
well, I figured it out. Yeah, I figured it out.
So
Yeah.
a lesson was learned, so it
Yeah.
wasn't really a failure.
Yeah. For lack of better words, it was a learning lesson. So, I like treating people the way I want to be treated. So I didn't want to create a shirt out of cheap material. I wanted to use high quality material.
I'm with that.
Exactly. I wanted to use high quality material. And then when I figured out how much I had to buy each shirt, I was like, wow, I have to sell these shirts for like $100 to even make decent money. And I like the shirts were selling. The shirts were selling, but like I was selling it to my friends and family. I wasn't selling it to other people. And I was like, okay, I can't survive just selling shirts to my family. That's not going to work. That's like such a small number out of the world. So I ended up just cutting the clothing line out, and I took a break from that for a while. But like that experience kind of hit me again when I tried to start like my next venture, which was Championship. And I started that venture when I was 22 years old. I remember it came to mind when I worked at Stihl. So Stihl is like a company, like lawnmowers, chainsaws, all that stuff. So I'm taking, I think, like 6 credit hours in school, and I'm working 72 hours a week at Stihl. So it was like a really busy time in my life. But I was just trying to, again, to gain that experience of being able to work hard, because I knew like if I'm doing all these hours now, I probably can do all these hours when I'm doing something that I like.
For yourself.
Yep, exactly. So it was one day when I went to the bathroom and I heard these 2 men in the bathroom talking. They were both had to be like their mid-40s, and they were like, yeah, I think I'm going to be here for another 20 years before I retire. And that in itself was enough to kind of scare me into thinking about like 100 different ideas. So mind you, with like ADHD, at least mine, by the way, it's a constant like distillation of thoughts, and it could be a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes it just never stops.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
And you can't turn it off.
Yeah.
It's
It always
continuous.
goes. It always goes. But luckily, like something positive happened out of that day, because I was able to come up with all these different ideas, and Championship happened to be one of them. So basically what Championship is we're the first Black-owned sports betting platform that connects with people socially whether it be sports fans, whether it be sports bettors, through peer-to-peer sports betting engagement. So the way I was thinking about it originally is like, hey, like, there's no way I can bet against my friends digitally. Like, I have to do it under the table. And we all know sometimes in the Black community, we don't like paying up. Like, money is a really like emotional topic to some folks. And that's happened to me a lot of times. And then it's like sometimes you can get uncomfortable asking somebody for money, or like you feel like there might be some sort of conflict that happens or something like that. Some people don't like conflict. And I was like, okay, let me see if I can be able to solve this problem. And so I thought about it like during break. I'm like, there's no way I'm solving this by myself. I got to call, like, I called like 5 of my best friends at the time, and they were like, yeah, like we'll chime in on it and like just, give us like a presentation. So what happened was I was like, you know what, maybe I should call 20 people, create a think tank, and then kind of dwindle down those numbers to the people that I think have the best ability to make this come into fruition. And that's essentially what we did. So it was crazy because, again, 6 credit hours, 72 hours a week. And now I'm having meetings also. And these meetings are like, sometimes they go 1 hour, sometimes they go 3 hours, because I don't have the business experience, like hands-on business experience yet. So I don't know how to like conduct the meetings, time them, all that good stuff. But I'm gaining that experience as I go. But I want to say about maybe 3 weeks after the idea came to mind, that's when we kind of dwindled down to 3 people. So it's me, Michael Ogarepi is our CTO, and Alana Coleman is our COO. And that's where the foundation began. And after, I want to say about maybe like 6 months, we picked up 2 more people out of that same think tank. Because originally we didn't need their skill set at first, because we were just a startup, like we were just in the ideation phase. When it got to like the marketing time to implement that, and then also finances, that's when I'm like, okay, we need to go back. We need to see what talent we need out of that group, and it happened to be Keith Bailey, who's our CFO, and Christopher Henderson is our Chief Production Officer. So yeah, that's where we formed that team. We've been working together for 3 years now, and we were able to find the correct mentorship through Norfolk State. Our first mentor, he was tight. His name is, I said was like he's not anymore, but his name is Dino Wallace, and he kind of led us in the right direction from like, just understanding like the fundamentals, pitch decks, being able to like really represent the company, like the business model, go-to-market strategy, all that good stuff. So he kind of like tailored us to be able to like handle what's to come in the future. And then that's when we transitioned to Norfolk State. And it's funny thinking about it now, because like we were really risk averse. Okay. And we didn't trust anybody. Right. So we were like, I don't know.
It's your baby. It's hard.
Right. Exactly. I was like, I don't know if we should tell them what we're doing. And so, but like, luckily, like, just looking back, I'm glad that we took those meetings. I'm glad that we were receptive, and it led to, us being able to do things like raise capital, get in front of the right investors, get some of that pitching experience to like a whole bunch of investors and venture capitalists. So Jim Franklin is our main mentor, that we feel like he fathered us in the business industry. So that was definitely a big kind of transition, being able to be under his wing for, I want to say, a whole summer. And this was during like COVID. We had meetings with him like every week, I think Tuesday and Thursday, and like 9 a.m, and he's throwing all this information. I'm like, okay, like what's a pro forma? Oh, okay, term sheet. Okay, now I'm starting to understand all these things, like the business lingo. And it got to the point where we had our first pitch. And I'm practicing, like I'm like a kind of a perfectionist, so I like practicing.
That's right.
I definitely don't like feeling uncomfortable when I have to do something that's like really like important or big, and I feel like could lead to another opportunity. So we did our first pitch. We didn't raise any money, and I was like, okay, is this what it's like? Are they going to call us back or?
Right? How's this work?
Right, exactly. So, mind you, I think that we have this billion, like, well, obviously I still think that, but like right there, I'm like, okay, this is a $1 billion idea. They're going to buy this. So like them not investing kind of humbled me from that sense. And I was like, okay, we really have to sell them on this. We have to show them the vision.
Imagine Shark Tank is.
Right.
Well, not even that, because actually I have a friend that went on that and he was telling me about how really fake that is. But anyway, but that's the idea that we're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, being able to see that, okay, these people aren't going to automatically buy. That's not that's not how this works. You have to be able to have the skill set. You got to be able to articulate the whole like vision so that they can be able to see it. Once they see it, then obviously they're going to ask you some questions that you have to answer. And like the more questions we were asked, like the more we were able to answer them like concisely. And like one thing I understand is, the more concise the answer is, the like better the chance they're going to be able to digest it.
Adrian Dews Jr. is on the line with me today talking about his companies with an S. Go ahead, and young man out here doing it. So I thought it would be an interesting conversation. So you learned from that about what you had to do. Where's the company stand today?
Yeah, so we raised $60,000 in our angel round, and we're still raising. We're almost closing that round. We have a couple pitches like next week, and we've built out our data and IT infrastructure. So
Wonderful.
So a lot of that money was allocated towards like building out the app. And we work with a third-party agency in India, and our CTO oversees that whole project. He'll come back to me if he'll say if like anything's wrong, and then we just make decisions from there. And Alana actually is like, she inadvertently is like the graphic designer behind this whole thing. So she's like a jack of all trades. So she basically designed like the whole interface, and she goes back and forth with him about that. And obviously she would like handle and make sure everything internally is copacetic as well.
What about the real estate? How's that factor into your world?
Oh yeah.
All these hours doing all of this for one company. How do you add to that?
Yeah. So the real estate venture is actually a really fun venture because I do it with my family. And basically how that thing started was me and my dad figured out that we could work really good together. When I was graduating, there was one time where they did not want to, I think I was late turning in the pictures, but they didn't send me something through the email, and they said, oh yeah, like this date has already passed. If we do it for you, we got to do it for all the students.
Who was
whatever.
they?
Somebody that was over like the photography for the graduates.
So you needed to send something in and didn't get in it on time. Is that what
you
did?
Yeah, it didn't. Well, they didn't send me something, so I could send it, and it was like, oh, well, that's our mistake. Like, there's nothing we can do. So we're sitting there negotiating for like 1 hour, and we end up getting the CEO of the production company on the phone. He's in California somewhere. We talked to him, and he's like, yeah, open it up for him. And she ended up opening it up, and then she opened it up for all the other students because there was like over 300 students that didn't do it or something like that, something along the lines like that. And yeah, like that's when we looked at each other. We was like, wow, yeah, I think we could definitely get in business together. So like I want to say a few months after that, we were looking at properties, and we found this quadruplex. And mind you, we have a mentor that's in Norfolk. He owns like 100 properties. So this is the people that we're learning from. And me and my mom and my dad we're scouring the land for property. And we figure out, just like I figured out with my other ventures, that we're not going to close the first deal. So it took like, I want to say like, maybe took like 20 like offerings before we got to the first one. And apparently we were still fortunate to even get it. Like our conversion rate was like a kind of high compared to other people. And so once we got that property, it needed some cleaning up. So we were able to allocate money towards, just like restructuring the carpet, getting the walls painted, making sure like all the hazards were remedied.
And you were going to put 4 people in there?
Yep. So it's a quadruplex. So I stay in one unit, and then we rent out the other 3.
And that pays for what it needs to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. So it breaks the mortgage, and the interest rate. We were so lucky because this ship has sailed a long time ago.
Oh my gosh, it's outstanding now.
The interest rate we got was 2.75.
And it's what, 6, 7?
Yeah, it's like 7 now. Yeah, we got 2.75. That ship has sailed. Trust me. And
it'll come back down, but it's gonna be a minute.
It's gonna be a little while. It's gonna be a little while before it simmers down. So we rent these units out to women with broken homes or who have been beaten and they have kids and they want
so
a
you're
place to stay.
intentional about it.
Oh yeah.
We only have 5 minutes left in the show. I can't believe it, but that's great that you're intentional about it. That means something.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that's why we named the company Press Forward. Just so we can be able to show these women hey, there's still an opportunity to thrive in this world.
And what further plans do you have for the real estate company?
We want to expand the portfolio, essentially, acquire some more land, be able to build from there. Really, we're looking at some land and we want to be able to get a construction loan on it, occupy it, 100%, and then obviously have a management team that can do that. And then maybe 5 years later, refinance it, get that money back from the down payment, and just go do it with another property. That's essentially, in layman's terms, that's what we're looking at doing for the next 5 years.
It's exciting stuff that you go. Your sister's not interested in the real estate company?
My sister is the opposite of me, so she's not a capitalist. Because I'm certainly a capitalist, but I'm trying to be a conscious capitalist, altruistic, something like that, just able to give back to the community, not just take things for myself. My sister, and this is interesting because I didn't mention this before, but she was the valedictorian of Spelman
nice.
This year, actually.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
sis. What's her name? We have to shout that out.
Yeah. Taylor Dews. Yeah,
Okay.
Taylor Dews. She actually got, she's killing it. She full ride to NYU. She's in New York right now.
What does she major in?
So she does anthropology, sociology,
I'm gonna see her names on some papers.
and she has a minor in media.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see that name. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, without a
Both of
doubt.
you. Yeah. Interesting things. So very proud of you. What do your grandmothers think of what you?
Oh, they love me. Yeah, they love me. So
You said you could be selling pies in a pie shop. They love you, right?
yeah, they love me. Yep. I love my grandmas, and they make sure to send me a text, call me, and be like, hey, killing it in business. I like what you're doing. They like my business partners too, so
That
they all
means
get
the
some love.
world.
Mm-hmm.
That's some good stuff. What are you going to be doing in 20 years?
So 20.
Because you're not going to be working in steel.
Yeah, without a doubt. I might go back and talk to the boss I had there. It was a good environment internally, but 20 years, definitely going to see myself being a philanthropist, giving back to the communities, particularly the Black community. I want to give back to people with ADHD, any kind of disability, anything that's neurodivergent. I want to also give back to them, show them that they have the ability to be able to, one, overcome adversity, and then two, they have the ability to naturally hyper focus, all these different abilities that they have to hone and understand that they have. And then obviously another thing, I just want to be able to manage, my free time too. So I don't want to be too hands-on at that point 20 years from now. I obviously would want to have a family, be able to allocate a lot of that time and be a good father too, like my dad was to me. So that's
great goals.
Yeah, that's basically everything summed up.
That's summed up. And what advice do you have? Do you feel that the older generation is listening to you?
Yeah, actually.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
Yeah, my mom posts me on Facebook all the time, and she was like every picture that I send her, she'd be like, okay, is it Facebook approved? And then she would post it, and then she has so much clout on Facebook. She gets hundreds of likes, and all these people are commenting and saying yeah, go AJ business partners and all that stuff.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
you feel the love and you feel the support.
Yeah, most definitely.
And this is just a wonderful story. We are running out of time, but I'm just so glad that you stopped by. I just think people need to hear that voice, that younger voice. See what our young folks are doing, because we just hear the negative, and they're not just all out here doing the negative. So
right. negative sales, and that's one of the
That's the
issues.
game.
So I don't watch TV.
That's the game.
Yeah, I don't watch TV at all.
My friend that went on Shark Tank, when he came back, he threw his TV out. He has no TVs in his home. That's how disillusioned he was.
Right. I unplugged mine and then put it in the room, like just so I don't watch it. But I've never been a big fan of the news. I've never been a big fan of anything that sells negativity. Because at the end of the day, I feel like you need to protect your mind.
The news didn't used to be that way because, believe it or not, back in the day, news anchors, they wouldn't even vote in elections because they didn't want to be partial one way or the other. I mean, it used to be straightforward. Now,
yeah, it sells. The viewership ratings go up, unfortunately.
Adrian Dews Jr., you are welcome to come by anytime on the line. Thank you for your testimony today. Thank you for being a great, outstanding young man out here doing the right thing. We appreciate you, and we're going to be watching you.
I appreciate it, Cheryl. Thank you for having me.
No problems. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll meet you next week right here. Behold the green and gold.
Behold.